are these guys for real? And you watch the first 2 minutes of the game and they're up 17-2 on you, and you look down at your bench and you say, what can we do? Spin move from Solomon, bounce pass underneath. A travel there on Weldon. Substitution for Wissahickon, number 43, Brian Finnegan. Number 23, Sharif Queenan into the game.
How'd you like to be a wide receiver and see Brad Weldon and Eric Wiggins coming across the field to meet you as a linebacker?
Well, surprisingly enough, this Norristown team does have two receivers, two all-league receivers on their team, in James Edmonds and Damian Solomon, but I'm sure if Weldon and Wiggins wanted to play receiver, they probably could too, with their athleticism and their size. Definitely would not want to be the linebacker on that field.
Absolutely not.
And it's amazing too, because they are the 3 and the 4 spots for this Norristown team. There's not a lot of forwards in a lot of high schools in this country that have the size that Weldon and Wiggins do. Yeah,
and even though they don't have vertical size in terms of being 6'4", 6'5", they are so physically wide and strong that, you know, very much like Charles Barkley, it makes up for, you know, the lack of vertical height.
So Green hits the 3. And they're so athletic too. We've seen before, we've seen Eric Wiggins play the point position. We've seen Brad Weldon guard point guards before. We've seen both of them do such a fine job, and they may not be the most spectacular players, but they really do get the job done.
Yeah, get the job done.
Finnegan spin move, won't go. Solomon strong rebound.
And at any given time, Weldon or Wiggins will step out and shoot the 3.
Green kicks it to Dean, toes behind the line. No good, and Bond comes down with the rebound.
Again, there was an example. Brad Weldon went in for the rebound and had enough body control to jump, get a hand on the ball without fouling. And a lot of times, you know, guys with that kind of size will just crash in.
Norristown very quickly up by 13 now, early in the second quarter. Queenan now with Dean all over him. Finnegan trying to get away from Weldon. The bounce pass underneath to Brady. Swing to Bond to Queenan. Off glass, no good, but they're foul there. Wissahickon does not appear to be a team that's afraid to shoot the ball.
Well, you can't be. That's the only way you can score points in this game. No bonus points for passing.
Now Sharif Queenan will go to the line. First one hits everything and bounces in.
And that's really the way you have to be as a shooter. I mean, you can't have the feeling that your coach is looking over your shoulder, because at any given time, that player may be the player that needs to take the shot for you. And if they're used to being hollered at or looking over their shoulder when it's time to shoot, they're not going to be ready and comfortable to shoot.
Queenan 2 of 2, and it's very important to have that three-point shooter to make sure that, you know, you're down by 6 with 30 seconds left. That's the person that you're going to go to try and get those points.
Absolutely.
Fowler's shot will not go off the Wissahickon player, Childs. Back to Norristown.
And on this Norristown defense, everybody had better be prepared to shoot, because you're not going to get too many open shots.
Evans, the errant pass. Danny Evans checking the game. He's the junior guard. He's done such a great job off the bench this year. This Norristown team is so deep, and we always talk about just, you think that you've gotten 5 of their players tired. They come out with another 5 that probably could be, you know, second in this league, you know, against the first team in the league.
Certainly, and it's a joy to come in a little early and watch them go at each other in practices.
Childs underneath, gets it to go somehow. You know, his team's going to let him know about that one tomorrow. That's a great play right there from Walt Childs.
That was a very nice move. Nice kiss off the glass. One thing you have to give credit to Wissahickon, they're not backing down from Norristown. They don't seem ready to just pack it in and let the time tick off the clock and get back on the bus to go home. They decide, I guess, they want to play a game while they're here. They took the trip here. They figured they'll go ahead and play a game.
Milan Dean there, his first two of the night. Another great feed from Marcus Green. What does that penetration from Green really do to a defense?
Oh, it absolutely kills the defense, whether a team is playing man-to-man or zone. The thing you really don't want to happen is for the ball to penetrate into the paint area. And Marcus is so quick and so strong with the ball, there's almost no way you can stop him from doing that whenever he decides, I'm going into the paint. And it creates problems. And then if you have a spot-up jump shooter to complement that, the defense collapses on Marcus, he kicks it back out, and now you're getting wide open looks. Or defense collapses on him, and you have a good forward or center to post up. He dishes them the ball, and it's an easy layup.
Green back the other way. Feeds Solomon, jumper, won't go. Tapped by Fowler, no good, but he dominates on the inside, and Lee Fowler has 5 points tonight. Wissahickon coaches are going to call a timeout, 26-14, Norristown up by 12 with 4 minutes and still counting as nobody stopped the clock yet, but sure we'll get that problem fixed very quickly. Well, while we have a chance tonight, we want to thank the Norristown Area School District for bringing you tonight's game. Director of Communications, Mr. Tony Coy. The man supervising the whole program tonight, Mr. Sam Galbraith, and our camera people tonight, Carl Moore and Carl Baker. Once again, I'm joined by a special guest tonight, Coach Roger Jackson, the head girls varsity coach here at Norristown Area High School. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight.
And a pleasure to be here. I'm really enjoying it.
And of course, out of the two of us, me being the student, you being the coach, you're definitely the better dressed commentator tonight.
Only because we had a game this afternoon. Only because we had a game.
I'll have to make sure we get you back on another time when you don't have a game. You'll come on in jeans and a t-shirt, and I'll come on in my suit.
Well, now if I come from school, I'll still be at least relatively well dressed. Maybe not like this, but you know, I have some nice clothes on. I do dress up to teach in the classroom. You know, Greg, you had mentioned earlier about how important having a center. I'd say at the high school level, it's almost more important to have a Marcus Green. If you have a guard that can really do that, a guard like that can just really dominate a game and just create all kinds of opportunities for other players. And if you have players that know their role, you know, one person who's going to grab rebounds, one person who's going to make layups once he penetrates and dishes, one person who's going to knock down the long three or the short two, that can end up being more valuable even than having a dominating center.
Let's talk about the complement to this boys team, number 4. Your number 4 on your team, Sasha Sims, who's been a strong freshman for you all year. We expect good things out of her in the next 3 years.
Oh, absolutely. She and all the freshmen have really stepped in and played well. I put a lot of expectation on them and a lot of pressure to perform, and they've responded. They've really responded. I think anybody would be happy to have freshmen like that on their roster.
So foul on Lee Fowler, his first of the night. Matt Brady will go to the line. Matt Brady maybe with the weirdest hair on the court tonight.
It's certainly interesting.
That's the diplomatic response from Coach Jackson as Brady misses the first one.
I sat and looked at yearbook pictures from when I was in high school and college, and some of the hairstyles I had, I certainly can't comment on anyone's hairstyles now.
Does the word afro ring a bell? Dean to the hole, and it's good. Milan Dean, 4 points tonight. What were you, 60s or 70s, or what were you?
Oh, no, early 80s.
Early 80s, I'm sorry. Probably insulted you there, but oh well. They're battling with everybody in this league. It's probably the safest place to be right here tonight. Marcus Green gets called for his first foul. Walt Childs to the line. Makes the first of the 1-and-1.
You had mentioned Sasha Sims. You know, one of the really joys about coaching the girls is most of our players are such outstanding students in addition to being very hard workers in basketball. Sasha Sims has an A average in the classroom, and you know, she combines that with a very strong basketball game.
A walk there from Evans. Is that what you tell your team the first day? You stress that with your team the first day, that if your grades are not up to par, you're not gonna be playing for my team?
Oh, absolutely. We began study hall almost at the beginning of the school year, before we even picked up a basketball, and we continue that through the season. Every day that we have practice, there's study hall first before we come into the gym to practice. They have to understand, one unlucky break and your basketball career can be over. But if you've taken care of the academics, you've really laid a foundation for yourself, for the remainder of your life. And it's really important that high school athletes understand that, especially in a sport like basketball or football, where injuries are not uncommon, and it is a risk every time you step on the court. And you have to understand that you have to have that academic support to fall back on, in case sports or basketball doesn't take you exactly where you think it will. And also the bottom line with the NCAA regulations now, you have to have a certain grade point, no matter how good you are, to accept a scholarship. And that's another reality of it all.
It's a tough thing really for high school athletes. When you have a game maybe, an hour away and you're playing that game after school, you might miss a couple of classes. And you come back, after the varsity game and the JV game, you get back, maybe about 6:30, 7 o'clock. You get back, it's kind of tough to go home and stay focused, and it really is a tough thing for high school athletes to try and focus on it.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think people realize and give high school athletes enough credit. Especially, you'll see the high school sports show on the Enquirer, and they'll always feature an outstanding student athlete. And you'll sometimes see kids with 4.0 and 4+ averages. And I don't think people really appreciate and understand what it takes to accomplish that and participate in a varsity sport. Most of us that coach varsity sports, we want 2-hour practices. So that's 2 hours in addition to your school day, and being mentally and physically worn out and still having to go home and take care of the studies.
Milan Dean with the steal there. He has 6 tonight, but a little bit of a spark off the bench, but Norristown really hasn't needed it as they're up 14, 32-18, 2:35 left in this first half. Green with the steal there. He's a 2-on-1 with Dean. Dean was fouled on his way up to the basket, but he'll go to the line. Good job there by the 2 guards from Norristown, Dean and Green.
Number 3 got a little bit too fancy with the dribbling in front of Marcus Green, and that's something you definitely don't want to do. If I'm correct, I'm sure he's averaging over 4 or 5 steals a game. And you don't want to lay down the gauntlet to someone that can rise to your challenge.
Speaking of that guard, Walt Child has 3 fouls right now, so he'll be coming out of the game, and Sharif Queenan back in for Wissahickon. Dean, 1 of 2 from the line.
And, again, Greg, I could talk about the education aspect all night. My first job is a teacher in the Norristown School District, and that's the most important thing. And, a lot of times these athletes just really don't get the credit they deserve. A lot of times we boil it down to wins and losses and don't understand that, hey, if this kid maintained good grades while just participating on the team, whether they win 5 games or 50 games, they've done an outstanding job and they should be commended for it. And, their classmates need to know that, parents need to know that, teachers need to know that.
It's always nice for a varsity athlete to come out to their game and get the kind of support that at least this boys team is getting this year. Dave Jeff for 2 points. The man with 2 first names, Dave Jeff, with his first 2 of the night. Allen now off the dribble, very explosive, but an errant pass hits the photographer out of bounds. Wissahickon ball.
I wonder if he got a shot of the ball coming at him.
Well, if you open up the front page, you just see a big orange blotch on the front page of the sports tomorrow.
That'll answer my question.
Green.
Again, Marcus Green, quick hands.
Jumper, no good. Fowler with the jam on the follow. That got the fans off of their feet. That's what they've been waiting for, and Lee Fowler with 9 points right now.
That's the one thing we never get to have in a girls' game. There's just something about the slam dunk.
So now Queenan on the drive. Feeds Jeff to swing out to Bond. Bond against Green. I think Bond's a little bit bigger than Marcus Green. Milan Dean with a huge block of Matt Brady. Wow, he came flying from nowhere. I I didn't even see him in the picture when I was looking at Brady, and he came from about 5 feet away and absolutely threw it into Mr. Flynn's office.
He's a high riser.
We do call him Mr. Excitement, and that is definitely his job. We've called him one of the best 6 men in the area. To Dean, he goes up and he's fouled by Brady.
I think Wissahickon is very much focused on and intending not to let Norristown get any more dunks if they can help it.
And it's always a tough thing to come into somebody else's gym and see fans, you know, jumping up and down after a dunk. It's real difficult to come back from that after you see a guy like Lee Fowler who goes about 6'7", 6'8", and he goes up for a jam and you have no answer for it.
It's definitely tough to come back from, and once the crowd gets involved, there's really no comparison for home court advantage. You know, we enjoyed a little bit of that benefit last night. We had Eisenhower Middle School's cheerleaders here cheering us on, and our loyal fan support, and you know, that helped to get us over the hump.
Now with 1:11 left in the first half, Vincent and Stout back into the game for Wissahickon. Rob Vincent, the ex-Norristown student, playing for Wissahickon now. He got a nice round of applause as he came onto the court the first time tonight. Bond now puts up a 3, and it's good. Kind of scary when you see a guy with Jeff Bond's size shooting a 3, but he gets it to go. He has 5 tonight. Wissahickon back within 14. Green
answers back.
Whatever you can do, I can do better. Marcus Green, his second 3 of the night. Now with 34 seconds, Wissahickon more than likely will hold for the last shot here. Finds the cutter, Stout, and he is fouled going to the basket. If that's Fowler, that is his second of the night.
How much do you feel as Wissahickon's team? You know, Norristown has seemed to really kind of lull along in this first half, but you look up at the scoreboard and you're down 17. That's got to be tough.
You don't even really know when it comes and where it comes from. You look up at the scoreboard, and it's happened to me many times just calling these games. You look up at the scoreboard, you think it's 4 or 5 points, it's a pretty good game. You know, this has seemed pretty close. We've seen uglier games here at Norristown. But you look up and it's 40-23. What do you say to your team at halftime, really?
Well, again, I think, you know, it really depends on your expectations. Games like this, you try to get younger players some time. You try to get your players to work on things that you're going to need against other opponents. There's always another game to be played, and you know, you can get something out of it if you're, you know, working on aspects of your offense or able to get time for younger players that hopefully will benefit you down the road. Especially if, you know, if tonight is just not going to happen, you know, you can look forward and plan and prepare for another night when it may happen for you.
So at the end of the first half, 40-24, Norristown a 16-point lead as they dominated that second quarter. So the folks here at Norristown Area High School going to the concession stand to go take a little bit of a break. We'll be back in a few moments to bring you third quarter action from Norristown Area High School.